Welcome to the From My Stand podcast with Matt Hinkle. Whether you are an avid hunter, a novice, or someone interested in the sport, Matt has a unique perspective to share. Sit back, relax, and kick your boots up as Matt shares what he's seeing from his stand.
Hi friends, welcome to the From My Stand show. I'm your host, Matt Hinkle. This is our very first episode of a brand new podcast that I'm very excited about. It's called From My Stand, and that's talking about a tree stand. This is an outdoor podcast. So if you're somebody that loves hunting, shooting, fishing, the outdoors, I think you're going to like this podcast, and I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. I'm excited to be launching this today. And I'm honored that you would be with us in our very first episode. Let me introduce myself. My name is Matt Hinkle, and I am by vocation a pastor. I pastor the Faith Baptist Church in Franklin, Ohio. I'm also married. My wife's name is Heather. We've been married for 25 years. I have 3 children, Chloe, who is 18, Matthew, who is 16, and Olivia is 14. And I'm just a guy. I'm a pastor. I'm a husband, a father, but I am an avid lover of all things in the outdoors. I live in Ohio, and our main thing is whitetail deer hunting, turkey hunting, squirrel hunting, rabbit, pheasant, things like that. But really anything outdoor related, anything related to hunting, anything related to shooting, I'm interested in that. And so this podcast is going to be on those type of topics. So I think we're going to have a lot to talk about, and I think that you will enjoy this. And I'm looking forward to enjoying it with you. Well, today in our very first episode, what I want to talk to you about is my own personal philosophy of hunting. Several years ago, I've been a hunter my whole life. I started hunting at about the age of 6 or 7, and now I'm 43. So I've been hunting my whole life, primarily here in Ohio. But a few years back, I did this just for me, okay? This wasn't an assignment. It wasn't a sermon. It wasn't a lesson or a class or anything like that. I did this just strictly for me. But I began to think about my hunting in a little bit of a deeper level. I don't know if that makes sense or not. And I began to just kind of ask myself, some real simple questions about it. What am I trying to get out of this? What am I trying to accomplish? What is the process that I want to go through in doing this? And so just for me, I put together a little simple philosophy of hunting. I really have not ever shared it with anybody. I can think of 1 or 2 people that I've shared it with. Now, young hunters that I am training, mostly my own kids, but young hunters, I've taught them these things, although it's not really been like a class, like a lecture, but I've incorporated these thoughts into what I do with them. But my philosophy of hunting comes from 5 words, okay? There's 5 words that my whole thing is built around. And that's how I want to begin this podcast. We're going to talk about that. And in fact, we're going to talk about one of each of the words per episode. So the first 5 episodes of this podcast are just going to help you maybe get to know me a little bit. And so the first 5 episodes are going to be on those 5 words. And I hope that it'll be something that can help you. If you're a new hunter, it might help get you pointed in the right direction. If you're a seasoned hunter, let me just say this. I did not start this podcast because I think I'm an expert hunter. I don't think I'm better than you. I don't think you need to come to me for answers. I just love the outdoors, and I thought I would start a podcast so that I could build a relationship with you, the viewer. It could be a conversation. I hope you'll hit me up in the comments and let me know how I'm doing. I'm a first-time podcaster. This is my first ever podcast. So let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if you have ideas for future episodes. But these first 5 episodes are going to be about this philosophy of hunting, kind of this process of getting started. And so if you're brand new and you came to me and you said, Matt, help me get started. I don't know what to do. I want to get started hunting. How do I do that? I would talk to you about these 5 words and we would go through this. If you're a longtime hunter, you probably have your program in place. You probably have your system in place, but maybe today you will hear something that you can kind of add to your toolbox. You might hear something that, these podcasts are not lectures. I'm not here thinking that I'm the expert and I'm going to lecture you. Most of my podcasts will be very much just trying to provoke thought and prompt a discussion. So, all right, 5 words. What's the first one? Number 1, if you're brand new at hunting, I would urge you, first of all, to think about your goal. Your goal. Number 1, goal. That's the first of these 5 words. What's your goal? I heard a quote several years ago. Somebody said, you can have anything in life, but you can't have everything. Now think about that. You can have anything in life, but you can't have everything. Now, the reason you can have anything, but not everything, is because anything you put your full attention on, you put your full focus on, you're probably going to get it. Now, the reason you can't have everything is because nobody can put their full attention and their full focus on multiple things, okay? But if you decide this is what I want and you go after it with everything you've got, there's a good chance you are going to reach that goal. So the first thing and I think that relates to hunting, okay? So before we even get started, you need to stop and ask yourself the question, what do I want? What am I trying to get out of this? And don't go any further until you answer that question. A lot of times people get into hunting and they say, well, I'm going to start hunting. And they go down to their local sporting goods store and they spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Sometimes they buy gear they don't need. And, and we'll get to that. We'll talk about that. But for me, that is not step 1. That is not step 1. Step 1 is to define your goal, what it is you are trying to accomplish. Now, let's talk about that for just a minute, okay? Not everybody is trying to get the same thing out of their hunting experience. We're all, different. And we're not all trying to get the exact same thing out of our hunting experience. Let me give you some examples. There are some people that for them, hunting is just an escape. It's just to get away for a little while. It's to get them out of the office, get away from email, get away from the cell phone, get away from the concrete jungle. Don't tell my wife I said this, but get away from the wife, get away from the family for a few days. Hey, I know it's 2024 out there and a lot of ladies are hunting as well. So maybe they're just wanting to get away from the husband. But, everybody's trying to get something different out of this. And some people, it's just an escape. They're not primarily concerned about getting a deer or getting a turkey or whatever it is. They just want to get away. I heard a guy, I knew a guy one time and he got into hunting. And he was one of these guys that kind of had that as their goal, just escape, just get away. And he went hunting. I asked him how it went. And he was like, man, it was great. It was awesome. He said, I saw some squirrels. I saw a cardinal. I saw a blue jay. It was so peaceful. It was so quiet. I just had the best time ever. And I'm like, did you get a deer? He's like, oh no, I didn't see any deer, but it was awesome. See, that's the example of somebody, their goal is just get out in nature, recharge their batteries, escape from the real world for a little while. And if that's you, just be honest about that and define that as your goal. And that's going to affect all these other things that you do in some of these later processes. Some people, they just want to get a deer, going deer hunting. You just want to get a deer. You don't care if it's a buck or a doe. You don't care if it's an old one or a young one. You've just never shot a deer and you just want to get a deer. Okay. Define that as your goal. Some people are going to say, I want meat for the freezer. That's what I am looking for. And so, that's going to influence all of their decisions. That's going to influence everything that they do from that point on. Some people say, I've killed some deer. I got some meat in the freezer this year. I'm going after a buck. I want a buck. I want that rack, And maybe they want to make a Euro mount like the one that's right behind me there, or they want to make a full-blown shoulder mount, or just keep the skull cap or the antlers or whatever. But they want that buck with some definable antlers, with beams and tines and brow tine and all that kind of stuff. Then, that's their goal. And I know, guys, I've been around this a long time. I've been in this a long time. And I know there's that heated debate of hunting antlers versus hunting meat and all that kind of stuff. That's not for today's episode, but you can fight it out if you want to in the debate that in the comments. If you want, I might even jump in there and join you a little bit. I've got my thoughts on that, and maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode. But, some people might say, I'm looking for a buck. I'm not necessarily looking for a 140 or a 160, but I am definitely looking for a definable buck with beams and, some inside spread, some tine length and so forth. So you can see that rack. Okay. That's going to influence everything that they do. That's their goal. And then, some are going to say, look, I'm trophy hunting. I'm looking for a 140 this year. I'm looking for a 150. Maybe you've never shot a 150. So this year you're looking for a 150, and that is your goal. But the point I'm making is, don't go any further until you know what you're trying to get after. It's not time to talk about some of those other things until you know what you're trying to get out of your season this year. And so, guys, that's the first step in my philosophy of hunting is I ask myself, what am I trying to accomplish? And by the way, it doesn't take a genius to see how this applies to every area of life. Not having goals in life is like going out in your driveway, getting in your car, starting the key, putting it in gear, and just hitting the gas and not putting your hands on the steering wheel, and just hoping that car will go somewhere good. That's what life without goals is like. And, a lot of times our marriage and family isn't what we really think it should be, but we've never really stopped and asked ourselves what we're trying to get out of it. If our careers aren't quite what we think they should be, but we never really stopped and asked ourselves, what is my goal? You cannot measure something that you haven't defined. And so if you don't have goals, you won't even know if you've succeeded. If you succeed, you just don't even know because you never took the time to think about what am I actually trying to get. So in the outdoors, guys, number one, what's your goal? What is your goal? And then next time we're going to talk about the second word. Okay. And I'm really excited about that. The second word, I'll give you a little sneak peek. It is the word ground. Okay. As soon as you know what your goal is, then you got to start looking at your ground, whether it's public land, private land, a lease situation, maybe it's the family farm, whatever the case might be. But you've got to get your goal and your ground together because there is nothing more frustrating than hunting without a goal. And except for maybe hunting with a goal that your ground won't support. So next time we're going to talk about your ground and we'll look at that a little bit. Hey, I want to thank Jeremy Jordan for his help with this podcast. He encouraged me to start this venture. He's not a hunter, but he's a great guy and he's dealing with all the tech side of this. And I really appreciate everything that he is doing. And I just wanted to thank him for that. Let me know what you think about this podcast in the comments. I'm excited to start this venture. I'm excited to start this relationship with you, the viewer. These podcasts are all going to be in the neighborhood, at least for now, from 10 to 15 minutes. And they're going to just be on different subjects related to the outdoor. They will be shot from all kinds of different locations. I'm sitting at my kitchen table right now, but sometimes we'll move around the house, show you some other parts of the house, maybe some of the antlers that are hanging around here. Some of them are going to be outside. Some of them will be location. We'll have guests from time to time. We'll feature gear from time to time. Really, when you're dealing with the subject of the outdoors, there is no limit to what we can talk about. So I'm excited for the future of this. Thanks for joining us. I hope it's been a blessing to you. I am your host, Matt Hinkle, and that's how I see it from my stand. God bless you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening today. Be sure to tell your buddies and follow us on your favorite podcasting platforms. Y'all take care.